There's always loads of leftovers in the fridge at this time of the year. So today, with this ham, I'm gonna make 10 different countries' favorite ham recipes, and I'm gonna rank them from 1 to 10, based on ease of cooking and how delicious they are. Should be a fun one, let's get stuck in. And first up, what's currently the #1 sandwich in the world, the banh mi. Now this sandwich holds a special place in my heart, and it's all about balance. So first thing we need to do is to pickle some carrots. It's really simple. Slice your carrots nice and thin, season them with salt, and let them wilt for about 20 minutes before you rinse them off and place them into a clean jar. For the pickling liquid, add equal amounts of white vinegar or coconut vinegar with water, a tablespoon of sugar, and half a tablespoon of salt. Bring it to a boil for the sugar and salt to dissolve, and then pour it over your carrots that have been salted, washed, and placed in the jar. Then it's simply about getting all the other ingredients together. Slice some cucumber, slice some spring onions, some red chilies, wash some coriander and get it ready. Pull out some pate from the fridge, and make sure you have the Maggi seasoning for the top. Take a baguette, warm it through the oven so the outside's nice and crispy, then put on a layer of butter or margarine. Traditionally it's margarine, I'm using butter today. Then you've got a thick layer of pate, followed by lots of that cold ham, then your cucumber, spring onion, pickled carrot, chili, Maggi seasoning, and finally lots of coriander. And if you don't like coriander, then simply leave it off. The best thing about the sandwich, there's actually no right or wrong way to have a banh mi. I've had dozens of banh mi in Vietnam, ranging from fishball banh mi to fried egg banh mi. So if you don't have pate, just leave it off. But honestly, the pate is the best part, so maybe try and get some. But there it is, it's a thing of beauty, and I'm not gonna lie, I've already said it, this thing has a special place in my heart. I love these things, and I'll be very surprised if we find something else that's better. It's delicious. Great amount of texture, crunchy baguette, all those crunchy vegetables, the soft smoky ham, savory, it's salty, it's got a little bit of sweetness in there from those carrots. Flabbergasted if we can beat this today. The banh mi. It's the first one we've done, so clearly it hits the top of the table. But let's move on to the next one to see if we can knock it off its perch. Representing France, the quiche. So you get two options here. You can make your own rough puff pastry, or you can buy a short crust pastry like I have done. This time of the year, I always have a packet of short crust pastry and a packet of puff pastry in my fridge for these type of dishes. Take your pie tin, ideally it has a loose bottom, and give it a light spraying with oil. Then you're gonna lay your pastry in there and work your thumbs around the bottom, making sure the pastry's into the corner of that tin. And then trim some of the pastry off around the outside. You do want some hanging over still because pastry shrinks when it's cooking, and if you cut it off now, your pastry's gonna shrink inside and it's gonna be smaller than it should have been. Fork the bottom of pastry 4 or 5 times so it doesn't puff up. Line the pie tin with some greaseproof paper, followed by some pie weights. You can use some rice or chickpeas like I use. Into a 180-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes until it's almost fully cooked. Then remove the pie weights and cook it for another 8 to 10 minutes until the bottom is nicely cooked. Remove the pie shell from the oven and let it cool for 20-25 minutes. While it's cooling, you can get the filling ready. Add some cream and eggs to a bowl with a pinch of salt, and you whisk it until it's homogeneous. Then finally slice your chives and add that to your cream and eggs. Then dice your cheese. I'm using Gruyere because it's delicious. And dice the leftover ham. Add the ham and the cheese to the pie crust, and then carefully pour in the egg and cream mixture over the top of the ham and the cheese. Place this back into the oven at 180 degrees on fan force for 40 minutes. Remove it, let it cool before you take it out of the tin, and there you have it, the French quiche. Delicious. Well, is it? I don't know, let's cut it open and see. Pretty sure it will be though. Beautiful custardy egg. I've stitched myself up and I don't have a plate ready. Now this will set up better, and it's one of those dishes that's almost better the next day cold. But that looks pretty good to me. Pastry's nicely cooked, the egg's fully cooked, and if you did leave that to cool to room temperature at least, that'd be properly set. Is it delicious? Absolutely. Is it better than banh mi? No. Still pretty good though. Pea and ham soup, which comes from the Netherlands, which is where my mother's side of my family is from. This delicious soup recipe is a great way of using up the bone from the ham because it gets all that delicious flavor out of that bone and into the broth. First of all, split peas, soak them in the fridge, covered in water overnight. The next day, you're gonna dice a carrot, a couple of shallots, 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, and ideally 2 or 3 sticks of celery. However, if you don't have it, just leave it out. Celery is one of those weird things. It's like you either have too much and it's going soft, or you don't have any at all. There's no like in between. You never have the perfect amount of celery. I digress. Place that into a pot with a couple of tablespoons of olive oil and sweat it down with a pinch of salt until it starts to go nice and translucent. Then you're gonna drain your split peas and add those to the pot, followed by chicken stock. Finally, add the bone from your ham, and then you're gonna bring it up to a light simmer and let it simmer away for like 2.5 hours until those peas have completely broken down and are soft and cooked. Remove all the bones and cartilages from the pot. If there's any extra meat on there, you can pick it off and add that through at the end of the garnish. Then you're gonna blitz that soup with a stick blender, as smooth or as chunky as you want. Garnish it with some more leftover ham and fresh chopped chives. Pea and ham soup. I grew up on this stuff. We used to have it all the time. And let's see if it stands up to how my mum used to make it. Yum. That's pretty good. It's absolutely delicious. It's like a warm hug in a bowl. The only negatives I've got is it takes a long time to cook, and where we live in the world, it's hot at this time of the year. So I feel like eating this in the middle of winter, not in the middle of summer. But it is delicious and very nostalgic to me. It's gonna go above quiche, but it's not gonna beat the banh mi. Next up, representing the USA, the club sandwich. The hotel room service champion. I think in every hotel I've stayed in, if there's been a club sandwich on the menu, I have ordered it. Sometimes they're disappointing, sometimes they're delicious. Let's be honest. It's a pretty simple sandwich. You have 3 slices of toasted white bread, then you got 3 meats. The leftover ham. In an ideal world, you have lots of nice thin slices, but this isn't an ideal world and we're dealing with leftovers here. So just cut it so that it will stack in the sandwich. Then you want some sliced turkey or roast chicken, some crispy bacon. Other than that, a bit of fresh lettuce, some freshly sliced tomato, lots of butter, lots of mayonnaise. It's kind of the only moisture in the sandwich, so you really need it to make sure it doesn't dry out in your mouth. Time to stack. Butter on all 3 pieces of bread, mayo on 2 of them. Then you're gonna start by layering chicken, then ham, tomato, not forgetting to season your tomato with salt and pepper, your second piece of bread, followed by bacon, lettuce, and your final piece of bread to top it off. And there you have it, your American club sandwich. Let's give it a taste and see where it ranks. Don't forget to pull the toothpicks out. That'll hurt the roof of your mouth. Look, it's pretty good. Kind of a little bit involved for a sandwich. Is it delicious? Yes. Is it a bit of a pain to make? Kind of. Where do I rank it? Well, I think it's just above the quiche for me. Next up, we've got a Canadian dish, believe it or not. Who knew that the Hawaiian pizza is a Canadian dish? To be perfectly honest, I'm not a pineapple oil on pizza type of guy, but we thought we'd put it in there to see how it comes out. This is my New York slice style pizza recipe dough. The link's down below for that recipe on my website. And then it's a simple tomato sauce, some fresh pineapple cut into pieces with the core removed, diced up leftover ham. We're gonna roll our base out really thin, a decent amount of sauce all the way to the edges, followed by lots of ham, this fresh pineapple, a little sprinkling of oregano, and mozzarella cheese. Into the pizza oven at about 400 degrees Celsius for 2.5 to 3 minutes. This style pizza cooks at a bit of a lower temperature and a longer time than a Neapolitan style pizza. And there it is. Let's give it a cut. Okay, now the truth is, this one was sneaked in there by Dazz. She's been trying to get me to make this for so long and I always refuse. Anyway, let's see how it does. As a flavor pairing of the smoky ham with the sweet pineapple, in theory it should work, but I just can't get my head around it. Pineapple on pizza is a no for me. If you like it, that's okay. Sorry, Dazz, you're allowed to like it. This is the bottom of the table for me. And we'll see if anything else scores that low. I'm still gonna eat it though.
Number 1.
Fried rice, it's always a winner in my eyes, and it's really simple to pull together. First of all, get everything ready. This will happen really fast once you start cooking it. So we're gonna finely slice a spring onion. We're gonna keep the green parts and the white parts separate because they cook at different times. Then we're gonna peel and dice half of a carrot, and we're gonna finely chop 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. Dice up a few big pieces of your leftover ham, and then beat a couple of eggs. Then you need to have your cold rice ready to go. Got some oil ready to go, a little bit of sugar, some soya sauce, and some yum yum. Wok on high heat. Let that come up to temperature. Decent amount of oil. Start with the hardest veg first, so carrots. Next, the spring onion whites, the ham. You want to fry this for a good 3 or 4 minutes. You want to make sure that ham is completely hot through and the carrots are cooked. Garlic. Pull your ingredients to the sides, add some more oil to the bottom, and then add your beaten eggs. Pull it back and let the runny stuff go back into the center. Then add your rice. The rice is starting to stick, add a bit more oil around the outside. A little bit of yum yum. It's just MSG. If you don't like it, leave it out. Soy sauce around the outside. You don't need heaps. Just a little bit of sugar. Spring onion greens. And the final optional touch is a little bit of chili crunch. I don't like putting chili in my fried rice. I prefer to put it on after because I don't know why. It's just just one of those things. I think I need to get some more chili crunch. All right, let's have a taste. There's no secret that I am a fried rice lover, but let's see how this stacks up. It's pretty good. It's easy to pull together. I, for one, always have cold rice in my fridge. It's super tasty. It's very filling. Is it as good as a banh mi? I'm not so sure, but it's definitely above everything else at this point, in my opinion. So, number 2 spot it gets. Jambon. Sounds French. It's actually Irish. This really easy little pastry to pull together is simply a bechamel sauce, some ham, cheese, and puff pastry. So to make the bechamel, you're gonna add your batter to a pan, and once it's melted, you add the flour. You're gonna whisk that with a comically small whisk until it becomes a smooth paste and it starts to smell like cookies. In 3 batches, you're gonna add your milk and continue whisking until you have a nice smooth sauce. Let that come up to a simmer until it thickens nicely, season with salt, and then you'll pour it out and place it in the fridge to cool. Next, you're gonna take your pastry squares and you're gonna cut them roughly around 15 centimeters in square. In the center of each piece of pastry, you're gonna add a tablespoon of the bechamel you made, followed by some ham from your leftovers, and then a good grating of either tasty cheese or Gruyere like I'm using here. Brush each corner with a little bit of egg wash, and then pinch all 4 corners together in the center, leaving the sides open for steam to escape. Once they're all in a lined tray, brush them with egg wash again, and then place them into a 180-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes until they're golden brown and delicious. This feels like a test on my palate because it's gonna be nuclear hot still. I could be patient and wait, but flaky pastry. That's delicious, and it makes you look fancy. Bit of puff pastry, some bechamel, cheese, some lovely ham. It's savory, it's flaky, it's cheesy. What is not to like about that? But where does it rank? Whoa, honestly pretty high. I'm gonna put that just below fried rice. Very delicious. Oh, don't forget, chuck us a like and subscribe if you're not. Especially if you're Irish. Next up, from Switzerland, the cordon bleu. A classic Swiss dish that's really been adopted heavily by the US. Start with the chicken breast. You're gonna cut it in half lengthways and butterfly it out 2 to 3 times. Be careful not to cut through it all in any spaces like I have just here. And then you're gonna season the top with salt, followed by slices of cheese. Now, traditionally this would be Swiss cheese. You can also use Gruyere. I like to use mozzarella because I like the stringiness that it gives. Next, you're gonna add ham, and normally you'd use nice, long, flat sheets of ham, but given that we're using leftovers, we're gonna use all these scraggly bits. I'm gonna cut them really fine and lay them down flat as possible. Roll the chicken breasts up as tight as you can, then place it into the freezer for 25 to 30 minutes. What this is gonna do is help you when you're crumbing the cordon bleu. Set up a pan station of flour, seasoned with salt and pepper, whisked egg, and breadcrumbs. Take your rolled chicken, dip it into the flour, dust any excess off, into the egg, let any excess drain off, place into the breadcrumbs, and then go wash your hands. If you keep going without washing your hands, it is gonna get covered in breadcrumbs and eggs. Once you're in the breadcrumbs and they're completely covered, I like to double crumb cordon bleu, so back into the egg and then back into the breadcrumbs. Once your breadcrumbs are completely covered the chicken, put it into a pan with 2 or 3 tablespoons of oil or bacon fat like I'm using here, on the presentation side down. So that's gonna be the flatter side that looks the nicest. Place that down first and get good color on it. 5 or 6 minutes on medium heat, flip it onto its other side and into a 180-degree oven for 15 to 18 minutes, depending on how big your chicken breast is. But you're looking for a chicken breast that's cooked to at least 70 degrees in the center, and the cheese is all gooey and the breadcrumbs is golden brown. Woo! All right, so what would you serve this with? Well, mashed potatoes, some veg, nice light salad. More importantly, what does it taste like? It's pretty good. I like the smokiness of the ham and the nice cheese in there. Certainly kind of livens up your average grilled chicken breast. Where am I gonna rank it? I reckon it's gonna go smack bang in the middle, number 5. The humble baked potato, a fantastic way to feed the masses without too much effort, and a great way of using up leftovers. Take some large potatoes and scrub them well in the sink before wrapping them individually in tin foil and placing them into a 180-degree oven for an hour and a half to cook through. Once they're cooked, pull them out, place them onto a plate, cut across into them, and then you're gonna add a big whack of butter, a whole bunch of diced ham, some grated Gruyere cheese, then a big dollop of sour cream, and lots of finely chopped chives on top. But you can take this in any direction you want. You got a tin of baked beans lying around, shove that in there, bit of tuna mayo on top, delicious. Some leftover bolognese, stunning. Anyway, back to my ham, Gruyere, and sour cream version. Let's have a taste. Got very TV chef there, didn't I? Make sure you get some of everything. Some of that fluffy potato, the ham, the sour cream, the chives. Look, it's pretty good. I definitely had a few of these growing up. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm gonna put it above the Hawaiian pizza, but I think that's where it stays for the time being. All right, well, we've gone all the way around the world and we're on the last one. And it's the simplest one. I think 90% of leftover ham is eaten this way. A fresh sesame seed roll. Has to be fresh, because I don't think these should be toasted. If they're not fresh, then you're gonna need to toast this. Butter, lots of. Mustard, Dijon or yellow mustard, you choose. Cheese, I like this Jarlsberg stuff. It's kind of nutty. I also like that it's nice and soft. In that goes. And of course, the scraggly bits of ham that are actually the tastiest. So we've called this the Australian ham and cheese sandwich, but honestly, it's pretty universal around the world. And before even eating it, I know what this tastes like. On the positive side, almost zero effort to make that. They're probably ingredients you have already in your fridge, but don't keep your bread rolls in the fridge. They are delicious, and I'm gonna score it above the Hawaiian pizza because I still can't get my head around that, but that's as high up as it's gonna go on the list. Number 9. All of those 10 dishes were delicious, but number 1, the banh mi, has a special place in my heart. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic holiday season. We will be back next week as normal. Enjoy your holidays, lots of love. See you next week. Peace.